Welcome to the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo. Brought to you by Coastal Appliances, Island Automotive, Somerset Mortgage, The Emerald Princess, Bruce Kennedy Tire, Apple Care and Media Care, Misty's Element Massage, Jenkins Nissan, and by Loco's Grill and Pub. Now here's the voice of the Glynn Academy Red Terrors, Kevin Price.
Welcome to the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Kevin Price on location at Loco's Grill and Pub. We are here each and every Sunday night at 6:30 for the entire season. This segment of the Rocky Hidalgo Show is sponsored by Island Automotive, Coastal Appliances, The Emerald Princess, Somerset Mortgage, Bruce Kennedy Tire, Apple Care, Media Care, Misty's Element Massage, Jenkins Nissan, and Locos. And now joining us is the head coach of the Glynn Academy Red Terrors, Coach Rocky Hidalgo. Coach, welcome aboard once again.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, Coach, we're coming off the off week. We're going to talk to you about that a little bit. We'll go back and talk about the Ware County game as well, and then, of course, move forward and set the stage for the game this Friday night at Effingham. But right now, Glynn Academy stands 4-3 overall through 7 games, 3-2 in the region. Let's take a look at the big picture, if you will. Right now, Ware County sitting atop the region, of course, ranked number 1 in the state, undefeated overall at 7-0 and 5-0 in the region. Coffee County sitting in second place with the 1 region loss to Ware, and then you and Brunswick are tied with 2 losses each for third place. Of course, if the playoffs started today, you would get the 3 seed, they would get the 4th because of your head-to-head win against the Pirates. But a bunch of teams sitting right there at that 3-loss mark. All 3 of them are still left on your schedule, starting with Effingham, Statesboro, and South Effingham. So as far as you and the Red Terrors are concerned, though, you just want to take care of business, win out, and let things fall where they would around you, I would imagine.
Yeah, you know, we can't worry about those other ones. We're just going to try to get in, play well against Effingham, and move forward after that.
And let's just talk about let's look at the big picture. Ware and Coffee. Let's talk about Ware first of all. Obviously, you saw them on film going into your game, and then you saw them obviously firsthand in the game. They beat y'all 2 weeks ago, 42-21. But just how good is Ware County?
I think they've got a good football team. I do. I mean, they've got, obviously, they're defensively, they're 3 down, and the Mills kid at linebacker. They're very good on defense. Obviously, I think they're probably easily the best team out there defensively that I've seen. You know, I think offensively they've got some good players there at running back, and their offensive line's solid. You know, but I think their team's going to be able to defend them probably moving forward in the playoffs. But, you know, the thing that you've got to contend with is defensively. They're very well coached. Their kids they play fast. They're very physical. They tackle well. They're tough on defense. They're going to be hard to score on.
And then, you know, looking at Coffee County and how they maybe measure up to Ware, I know that game was pretty close. Probably could have went either way there in the fourth quarter. But after seeing them both and playing them both, is there anything that maybe separates those 2 teams a little bit, or you think they're pretty even overall?
Well, you know, I think they're just different teams. I think Coffee County, I don't necessarily. Well, I would say this about Coffee. I think Coffee is probably a better offensive team than Ware. I think they're really good offensive, very balanced. Their offensive line is very, very good. Very good skill players. Their quarterback played really well against us, threw the ball, ran the ball, did a lot of good things. But I think offensively they've got a heck of a football team. They're not quite as stout defensively as Ware. So they're 2 different teams. And you know, that game could have gone either way, and probably Coffee should have won the game except for the pick 6. You know, but I think probably if those 2 teams play again, there's going to be a toss-up. I will say, you know, I know there's some really good teams in Metro Atlanta out there, you know, that are out there. So I don't think you can just mail the trophy to one of those schools right now. But there's some really good teams up there in Metro Atlanta that before it's all said and done will have something to say about it, I'm sure.
This is the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. And, Coach, obviously Franklin Stevens is in his first year at Ware, but he took over a loaded gun, if you will. Just had to come in and kind of keep the train rolling down the track. Coach Pruitt has been at Coffee for, I think, 3 or 4 years now. He's kind of brought them back up to where they are. But if those two teams were to be the measuring stick, I guess, in this region, you're taking over at Glynn for the first year. After you played those teams and seeing your team through the first 7 weeks of the season, if that's where you're trying to get to that level, and I know we've talked about this, measuring yourself against Camden as well, what stands out in your mind as far as what Glynn Academy needs to do to kind of take that step up and not only compete with those teams, but eventually get over the top against them?
You know, I think the biggest thing is going to come in the weight room and our off-season program. I think we've got to get stronger. The one thing, being on the field with them, both teams were a lot bigger and stronger than we were. So we've got to play catch up in the next 12 months, or I guess the next 8 months or so in the weight room. That's a big part of it. The other thing I think is we've got to get in and really being on the ground here. I see a lot of the issues that we have at Glynn Academy. We've got to address some of those issues. I think we've really got to go out in this offseason. We've got to drum up our community support and get our community really behind our football program. I think people are starting to really be interested in coming back to our program, but I think we need people to jump on board and buy in. I mean, everybody kind of wants to wait to see how you're going to do those things, but we've got to get people to come in and invest in our kids and invest in our school, invest in our program. That will enable us to do some of the things necessary that we've got to do. We've got a lot of cultural issues that we have to work on with our kids. We have great kids and they want to win, but they've got to learn how to win, and part of that's going to be done in the off season with some character education, character development stuff. We're going to have to spend a lot of time teaching our kids to be a success on Monday through Thursday so that they can be a success on Friday. And we're going to need the community to come in and help do that. We're going to need people to come in and speak to our kids, and we've kind of already started talking about how can we address some of these. But we're going to need – there's a lot of successful people in this community, and we need their help to kind of help our kids kind of get over the hump so that we can go out there and build a program that everybody around here can be proud of.
And, Coach, let's just go back real quick and look over that Ware game. I know it was 2 weeks ago. The final score, again, was 41-21. And I know from reading some of your comments that you made to the area media the night of the game and listening to some of the comments that you made the day of the game or the next day after the game, I think for the first time maybe you were frustrated that you just didn't give yourself a chance. They hit you with a couple of big touchdown drives early and still had some of the same problems, but it was really the first game that I kind of felt like that y'all really didn't give yourself a chance from the get-go. Is that true? Yeah,
I was really frustrated. We gave them 6 first downs. 4 of which were after we kind of had them stopped on 3rd down, and one of them was we roughed a punter when we didn't have a punt block on, and we basically gave them 28 points. We threw an interception, which we had the fake field goal, which we had addressed during the timeout, and so there were some errors there where I felt like we just made a lot of mistakes that really killed us, and we had made mistakes before, but some of the things we had done were late hits, penalties that we had not done as of yet, and it was just disappointing because I think our kids, if you go watch the tape, our kids played hard and they competed. We just didn't play real well, and I honestly was frustrated. I told the kids at halftime, and it's my fault. I told them after the game, I said I didn't do a very good job of preparing y'all to play and win in that game. I'll take full responsibility for it, but it was frustrating because we made a lot of bad decisions, and those decisions led to points, and it's a game we should have been in and should have had an opportunity to at least to compete, to kind of make it a ball game there, and we didn't.
All right, well, there's more to come here on the Rocky Hidalgo Coaches Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Right now, these words from our sponsors.
For all of your automotive repair needs, visit Island Automotive, 1950 Demery Road, across from the fire station on St. Simon's Island. They're a family-owned and operated business that has been delivering great service not only to St. Simon's, but to all of Southeast Georgia for over 25 years. Your complete auto repair and auto detailing facility. Online at islandautomotivecenter.com or at 912-638-0888. And go Terrors! Coastal Appliances is your one-stop shop for Whirlpool washers and dryers, Whirlpool refrigerators, and so much more. Coastal Appliances offers free delivery and service after installation and have also been in business for over 30 years. 4727 Altama, next to Sonic, and on the web at appliancesbrunswickga.com, or give them a call at 912-267-0132. Coastal Appliances, Glynn County's only specialty appliance store.
Hop aboard for Texas Hold'em tournaments, roulette, poker, lots of slot action, food, music, and more. Labor Day weekend, Sunday, August 31st, 7 p.m. Cruises depart from Brunswick, Georgia. Call 800-842-0115 or visit EmeraldPrincessCasino.com. Must be 18 years of age and present a government-issued photo ID to board.
I'm Jenkins Nissan.
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 I am Jenkins Nissan.
I'm Donnie Jenkins. We're all Jenkins Nissan, and together we want to show you just how easy buying and servicing your car should be. So please, stop by and experience the Jenkins Nissan difference. Look for the red and white Nissan tent at the corner of Chapel Crossing Road and the Spur, or visit us online at jenkinsnissanofbrunswick.com.
Welcome back to the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Kevin Price. We're on location from Loco's Grill and Pub on St. Simons. This segment brought to you by Island Automotive, Coastal Appliances, Jenkins Nissan, and the Emerald Princess. And, Coach, let's just pick back up with the Ware game, and then we'll talk a little bit about the off week in the Effingham game coming up next. But I always kind of look for bright spots, even when the team loses, and I think two of the biggest bright spots for you were the kickoff returns by DJ Dallas and Adrian Cross. All of us that watch Glynn Academy every week, and, of course, you guys see it in practice, know that anytime these guys get their hands on the ball, they're capable of doing what they did. We've seen some teams kick off short by design, but also possibly to keep them away from those two guys. But anytime both of those guys touch the football, they're capable of going that way. Of course, you had some good blocking on those runs as well. But those two guys were definitely bright spots in that game.
Yeah, and it just goes back, they're two really talented kids. I think Adrian is playing really well right now. I think probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, he really turned a corner. I think he's playing like a champ. I'm proud of the way he's kind of taken on kind of the responsibility of a senior and stuff. DJ's an incredible talent. His was really special to see him go out and break out like that on a big play. We're trying to really work to get him the football more offensively. You'll see Adrian, I think, probably a little more offensively as we go forward. And hopefully they can continue to make some big plays and create some excitement.
All right, well, let's move forward and talk about the off week. Obviously, you had the week off last week without a game, and coaches take different strategies with that. Sometimes you practice every day and you have hard physical practices, but sometimes it's good to step back and take some time off and let everybody get refreshed and re-energized, and understand that's kind of what y'all did this past week.
Yeah, I've been around a lot of guys that have different attitudes toward off weeks. For us, is earlier in the season we kind of stayed in, hung in practice. This week we wanted to take some time off, gave the kids a couple of days off. The biggest thing for us was make sure that we've got 3 really tough games in the playoffs, and that's really when that grind starts. And we want to make sure our kids come back fresh for those 3 games, and everybody was healed up and healthy. We were able to go out Monday and really focus on our young kids. We gave the varsity off and focused on our young kids Monday and get them ready for a JV game on Thursday, and then came back and had 2 good days of practice on Wednesday and Thursday, and hopefully it'll pay off and the kids will bounce back Monday and be ready to roll.
And when you did practice with the varsity, what was the nature of the practices? Were they light? Were they hard and physical? Were they mostly concentrated on Glynn Academy and what you need to do to get better? Just talk about what y'all did accomplish when you practiced.
Yeah, our focus is always on us. I know, we do game plan for the other team. Don't get me wrong, but we really want to focus that everything is about us, and it needs to be about us because it's our mistakes, it's our effort, it's our execution that either wins or loses games for us. If we take care of our business, we'll come out successful on top. What we did is we spent a lot of time in individual instruction and skill work. We also looked at some personnel changes because we had some positions that we were continually having issues with. So we looked at changing some guys there. So I think you'll come out of the break and you might see us some different players playing some different spots, and hopefully it'll pay off and we can get a little more production in certain areas.
I know you probably don't want to let Effingham hear anything, but is there anything you can elaborate on as far as that goes? I know y'all been kind of looking for depth at various positions the whole time, but
Yeah, we had some kids that were playing other positions that we felt like we would give them a shot to go out there and compete at different areas, and some of it I think is going to pay positive dividends, and at least we'll find out Friday night, because we're going to throw them out there and hopefully something good will happen.
Now, you probably had seen Effingham on some game film earlier. I know you saw them Friday night playing against Ware, but did y'all do anything to install any of the basic game plan at least last week, or will that start tomorrow?
Yeah, we worked in some team periods and some walkthrough, some teaching time, just kind of go over their basic plays. Effingham does a bunch of stuff, a bunch of different things on offense. So, and each week they look a little different. So, we've kind of got to touch all those bases because, Friday night it could be a little different from what they showed against Bradwell or what they showed against, Ware County. So we would just want to make sure that we were out there and giving our kids enough instruction that if we see something that they hadn't come in contact before, hopefully we can adjust for it on the fly and be able to get in there and compete and not give up a big play.
All right, you're listening to the Rocky Hidalgo Coaches Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. And, Coach, I asked you before we came on if y'all scouted the game, and yes, you did, but you did it in a little bit of a different style with today's modern technology. Obviously, you will get the film from that game, Ware and Effingham, to watch as you go through the week. But instead of going to scout the game live, since it was video streamed over the Internet, you were able to get your coaches together and just watch it here at home and have a little bit of fun at the same time. So kind of a new way to do things.
Yeah, it's with video today. I mean, it's a different day and age, obviously, with the video, and we have so many films on them from throughout the year. That was one thing. The other thing is with them playing Ware County. I mean, when you scout someone, what you get off tape really depends on who they're playing, and with Ware County being a wing T team, us being a spread team, there's not a lot of carryover for what they'll do defensively, and Ware County and it runs a little different defense than we run. So it was kind of the same thing. We did, a couple of our coaches actually did go over and watch the game, I will say that, but the majority of them came to my house. We put it on the big screen TV and we watched the game and just kind of enjoyed ourselves and hung out and kind of saw what we could see, and then we got to work on it. Most of our coaches had already been to work working on them since after the Ware game, so it was one of those things we kind of had a good feel of who they were even prior to Friday night.
Well, I don't know if you've ever stepped foot in Springfield, Georgia, but you'll do so maybe for the first time this Friday. But I know in the days of old, that was a tough place to play. They used to have the field wasn't very well lit. They wore those dark blue jerseys. Somehow they took the football and made it, instead of brown, they made it black. And they used to run that wishbone, and they did it well. And it was hard to follow the football. But what can we expect to see from Effingham this week in terms of offense, defense, and special teams?
Yeah, offensively, they're very varied in what they do. You'll see them run a lot of two-back pro-style stuff, but they also get in the shotgun and run a lot of spread stuff, very similar to what we do. Their quarterback, tailback are very good players. Their offensive line is really physical. They've got a great receiver who really has the ability to change the game, and so we've spent a lot of time figuring out how we're planning on taking him off the page. Defensively, I think their linebacking core safeties are very, very good. I think they're really well coached on defense. They tackle well in the back seven. I think that's one of the things you'll see from them, and they run to the football well. So it's going to be a really tough game. They've got a good football team, and they're 5-3. They didn't get to 5-3 by accident.
And, Coach, you're going on the road. I know you've already gone on the road a couple times this year, but you learn things about your team and how they travel and those kinds of things. Is there anything you might do differently just from that standpoint?
It's I think really and truly, the one thing is just the timing that we get there, the timing you arrive. And I don't like waiting around the locker room. I like to kind of get there and you get off the bus and you go play the game. Or you get dressed and go play the game. But I don't like our kids spending a lot of time just standing around the locker room. And I think, one of the things we're going to look at this week is our time of departure. This is all new for me. We had long, hour-long drive times in Atlanta, but it was for 5 miles. So this one, you could have a 30-minute or an hour drive time depending on traffic. These are a little different because you're 2 hours away, hour and 35 minutes, and with traffic it'd be 2 hours. So you got to plan accordingly And so one of the things we'll do is really look at that departure time so we can try to hit the sweet spot. We get off the bus, get our gear on, and go straight out, and we don't have a lot of stand-around time in the locker room.
All right. Well, you're listening to the Rocky Hidalgo Show here on the Bishop Media Sports Network. We'll be back right after this.
Relax. Misty's Element Massage specializes in helping you do just that. Located at 138 Village Market on St. Simons Island, Misty's Element Massage offers deep tissue massages, therapeutic massages, scrubs, creams, body wraps, and much more. The perfect gift for that special someone, not to mention sports massages for that aching muscle. Schedule your appointment today at 912-224-0198 or on the web at mistyselement.com.
Bruce Kennedy Tire is your hometown destination for tires. Michelin, Goodyear, and all the brands you trust. But don't let the name fool you. Bruce Kennedy Tire, located at 2928 Norwich Street, does more than just tires. Brakes, alignments, repair work, and more than I can mention. Bruce Kennedy is locally owned and operated so you get the best service in Glynn County. So give Bruce a call at 912-264-6578. Bruce Kennedy Tire, a name you can trust. Get affordable health care when you need it. At Apple Care Immediate Care, our team of compassionate healthcare providers is dedicated to treating each patient with the highest standard in healthcare. Located at 1111 Glencoe Parkway, Apple Care is open Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Apple Care welcomes all walk-ins from pediatric to adult ages and accepts most insurance plans. Visit us at applecaredoctors.com and like us on Facebook.
Hello, Glenn Academy Red Terror fans. It's an exciting time of the year when football season starts. It's also an exciting time of the year if you are buying a home and need a great mortgage team on your side. The smart folks at Somerset Mortgage will help you lock in the best rates and closing costs, but more importantly, they have the patience and expertise you need to get you to the closing table. Call Somerset to find out more. 638-2020, conveniently located next to Outback on St. Simons. Somerset, 638-2020.
It's time to get together with friends and family to enjoy great games, great food, and a great atmosphere at Loco's on St. Simon's Island. Loco's has something for everyone with their classic sandwiches, fresh salads, and specialty burgers. And Loco's award-winning wings, from traditional boneless or slow roasted, means it's time to get your wings on. With football season starting, don't forget to catch the game at Loco's too. Be sure to like Loco's on Facebook to keep up with the latest. Have your friends meet you at the Moose.
Welcome back to the Glynn Academy Red Terror Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Kevin Price. We're on location at Loco's Grill and Pub on St. Simons. This segment is brought to you by Misty's Element Massage, Bruce Kennedy Tire, Apple Care Immediate Care, and Somerset Mortgage. And, Coach, I guess one thing I always ask you about is how are you health-wise? Hopefully the off week helped you there. I know you had a couple of injuries that just kind of lingered for a couple of weeks. And then also Seth Carroll, I think, had a stress fracture, which I didn't realize going into the Ware County game. So just update us on how you're doing health-wise.
Yeah, Seth is going to be out probably another couple of weeks or so, and that affected us a little bit. I think Banks really went out, and, that's a big spot to throw a sophomore in there, and he had a couple of good punts, and probably the moment got to him a little bit. He and I laughed about it a little bit on Monday or Tuesday about it, but I think he's a kid that's got a really, really good leg. He's got a ton of potential, and I think now that he's got some, he's been thrown in the fire a little bit. I think he'll do really well moving forward. Handy, our defensive tackle, our backup defensive tackle, he was rotating in there. He's out. He's having surgery, arthroscopic surgery on a meniscus tear. So we'll be without him for a few weeks, and hopefully he'll get back in time for the playoffs. But for the most part, we're in pretty good shape and kind of right where we want to be health-wise going into the playoffs.
And then, Coach, I know you used DJ Dallas very briefly at quarterback against Bradwell, and he led you on a touchdown drive. And I don't know if that's something y'all maybe been experimenting with, is kind of getting him in there and letting him use his talents under center or from the shotgun as a quarterback. I know how valuable he is out on the perimeter, but is that something you might kind of do just to mix things up, or at least make teams have to prepare for from week to week?
Well, I think it's something we've discussed, and DJ's our biggest threat on the perimeter and our biggest threat in the passing game. So, when you take a guy and you put him in the backfield, suddenly there's nobody for him to throw the football to or get the football to. That's the issue with it, is when you do that. And the best part of what Zach does well is really run the football. But we've spent a lot of time in deliberation about how to get DJ the ball, and some of it has been possibly put him in there and do some things at quarterback, and we'll just kind of see him moving forward what we do there. But there's always the option to do that because he's a really talented kid. He's worked it since the beginning of the season, and when he got back there, he did some good things.
All right, and Coach, just some general football questions, I guess. I don't know if you saw the Notre Dame FSU game yesterday, but you probably at least saw the highlights of the controversial call at the end. All of the experts claimed that really was a penalty on Notre Dame. They looked like they were run blocking instead of running pass routes. But I've heard of a couple officials say that may not always get called. So penalty or no penalty?
By letter of the law, it was a penalty. Any coach who complains about it, to me, is always I laugh when people start screaming about pick routes. They picked us because everybody has pick routes in. It is illegal. We run them. Everybody we play runs them. And if we get picked, I may scream about it, but hopefully at some point in time, we'll pick somebody off and get a big play out of it. So, it's one of those things. It's part of the game, and it was a great game. Two teams really got after each other. I think a lot of people were surprised about how well Notre Dame played. But, Brian Kelly's a heck of a football coach. And if you didn't think they were going to go down there and play their tails off and make a football game of it, you're crazy.
Well, yeah, no doubt they definitely did that, and I think they earned some respect, if nothing else, and they're still in that playoff picture probably as a one-loss team. This is the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with Coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network, and Coach Georgia Bulldogs lost their key player, their top player, running back Todd Gurley, a couple of weeks ago to a possible NCAA violation. Still don't know the status of that. I think a lot of people are thinking that he might come back just in time for the Florida game. But Georgia, though, has seemed to do even better without him, and I don't know if it's a case of maybe they were getting ready to break out. I kind of thought maybe they were on both sides of the ball, but Hudson Mason stepped up at quarterback. Of course, Nick Chubb has come right in. He was highly recruited, and Georgia really hasn't missed Todd Gurley at all with him doing what he's doing, and then the defense has played better as well. But sometimes, kind of like the Michael Jordan effect, you just watch around and say, here, take the ball and score, but when other guys have to produce, Georgia's definitely done that.
Yeah, I think that's a product. They've got a very good offensive line. I think you see, I coached against Hudson Mason. He's a great kid. He's a great competitor. Probably the best player I've ever coached against in high school. He was unbelievable. He was a magician. So I think as he continues to improve and settle in, he'll continue to be a bigger part of what they do. You don't replace Todd Gurley. I think Todd Gurley's the best player in the country. I think Chubb is a great back, and he's going to be a great back for Georgia, but I think it's probably more progression defensively. They're really starting to play good football. You see Coach Pruitt he's a great coach, and you see what he's doing with them defensively over there. They're starting to understand really what they've got to do on offense, and you see the offensive line starting to gel. I think it's product of them just coming together at the right time. I mean, they've got a heck of a football team. They really do. And I've got Brandon Cablano, who played for me at Walton, starts at guard for him. So I cheer for the Bulldogs. I watch them every week, and I watch Brandon Cablano go bulldoze people. He's a heck of a player over there, and as long as they run behind him, they're going to have success.
And Coach, I've been meaning to ask you this for weeks, and we've got a couple of extra minutes. But one guy on your football team, or that's associated with your football team, is a guy named Scooter, and he's been around through a couple of coaching regimes now. And I'm sure you realize right away this is a guy I've definitely got to keep around. He does it all. He's out there at every game, every practice. Probably beats you to work in the morning, might leave after you do. But Scooter's, if anybody's ever seen the movie Radio, he's kind of Glynn Academy's version of Radio. And I see you smiling, but Scooter's just a piece of work, right?
That's my boss. Scooter comes and tells me what to do every day. People tell me sometimes administrators ask me, I've seen Scooter, and when I see him tell him to do this, I laugh. I said, you guys don't get it. He tells me what to do. He's awesome. He really is. And you talk about a guy who loves and is passionate about Glynn Academy football. And I think probably the only person more frustrated than me after the Ware County game was Scooter. So we love to have him there, and I love being around him unless I got to feed him. He's not real big, but my gosh, that little rascal can eat. He's got a hollow leg or something, he stores food away. It's impressive to watch that sucker eat.
And, of course, Scooter's just one of those guys. He does a little bit of everything, and from washing uniforms to getting everything ready to go for road trips. So he's one of the MVPs every season for Glynn Academy.
He takes care of us, man. He really does.
All right. Well, thanks, Coach, once again for being here with us. Thanks to all of you for being here with us on the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with Coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Come out each and every Sunday here to Loco's Grill and Pub on St. Simon's. We're here every Sunday night at 6:30 for the Coach Hidalgo Show. I'm Kevin Price signing off. Thanks, everyone.